Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the adventure. Welcome to the quest. Welcome to episode 1 of my journey, a butterfly bootcamp tale. So I'm excited to be here. I am happy to have folks here listening to the story of yet another journey through the medicine wheel. So I thought I would start by just kind of explaining a little bit what the medicine wheel is, because I was recently reminded that even though I have been sort of immersed in this world for a few years now, some people have no idea what I mean when I say I'm going through the medicine wheel again. So when I began this journey, when I began walking this path, which would have been just about June of 2021, I was coming out of a very dark place, a very unhealthy place. I was sort of at the peak of my workaholic life. I weighed 300 pounds or more. I was very much into comfort food eating. That's kind of what I had been part of my whole life. And so this whole journey has really allowed me to reinvent my relationship to food, to craft a new reality for myself that is much more aligned with compassion and love and balance and being a whole person in the world. And, you know, once we do that, it doesn't stay that way forever. And so sometimes we need to refocus ourselves and recenter ourselves. And for me, that is sort of what the medicine wheel is and does for me. So the medicine wheel itself is a spiritual journey. And the way I learned it through the Four Winds Society is that each of the 4 directions, plus the earth and the sky, are the directions that we call in when we're doing any of this work, which is a great reminder that I'm actually going to go ahead and open sacred space today so that I can call in my ancestors and spirit guides so that we can make sure that everything I say to you today is in alignment with the highest good of all. So, to the winds of the south. Ooh, Satamama. Satamama, great serpent, come and wrap your coils of light around us. Help us to shed our past the way you shed your skin all at once. Teach us to walk the beauty way, beauty in front of us, beauty behind us, beauty below us, beauty above us, beauty on either side of us, beauty within us, and beauty without us. Aho. To the winds of the west. Ooh, Dorongo. Odorongo, mother, sister, jaguar, come into this medicine space and protect us. Protect us from all intrusive energy and entity. Teach us the way beyond death across the rainbow bridge and back so that we may walk this path of the peaceful warrior with no enemies in this life or the next, so that we may know the pathway across the rainbow bridge and back to walk our path with courage and integrity. Aho. To the winds of the north. Ooh, Siwarkente. Oh, Siwarkente, royal hummingbird, come into this medicine space and teach us to drink only from the nectar of life. Teach us to find stillness even in motion. Help us to see our mythic map so that we may write our own mythology and create our own stories in life. And to the ancestors, to the grandmothers and the great-grandmothers, to the ancestors of the land on which we stand, to our intellectual and cultural ancestors, We ask that you be present with us, and we ask that you share your wisdom with us so that we may always honor you with our words and actions. Aho. To the winds of the east. Oh, great eagle. Great eagle, condor, urubu, raven, all those who come from the land of the rising sun, the place of our becoming. Come and be present with us. Teach us to fly wing to wing with great spirit and hold us under your wings when we falter. Teach us to see with eagle eyes, so that we may see from high above the mountains at that peaceful place of tranquility down to the smallest detail, so that we may have courage and clarity and may walk our destined path. Oh. Mother Earth, Pachamama, Mother Gaia, the one that always supports us, from whom all life comes, to whom all life must return. Thank you, Mother, for your loving embrace. Teach us to be in Aini with all creation, with the plant people, the stone people, creepy crawlies, the finned, the feathered, the furred, and our fellow two-leggeds. And help us to be models of right relationship so that all future generations may live abundant, joyful lives. Aho. Father Sun and Grandmother Moon and all of our Star Nation brothers and sisters, you who are known by 1,000 names and you who cannot be named, thank you for watching over us. Thank you for illuminating our pathways. May we always walk the path of light so that we may see our destined path with clarity and purpose. So, you may have noticed that each of the 4 directions has a different archetypal animal associated with it. And in the medicine wheel, each of those 4 directions has a particular purpose. And so in the South, what we do is we learn to release our past, to shed our past, the way the serpent sheds her skin. And the way this works in the medicine wheel, the way I was trained, is that you choose 3 life issues that are important to you to try to resolve right now. And this was a bit of an interesting struggle for me this time, because I sort of knew that the first 3 issues that I chose to focus on when I started walking this path were shame and guilt for all kinds of things. Shame and guilt for not living up to expectations, shame and guilt for, anything that I had done in the past that felt unworthy of my highest destiny. And shame and guilt are really just such useless emotions. They keep us down at low vibrational levels. And so I needed to work through that. I definitely at the time was working through chronic pain and chronic fatigue because of the various conditions that I had developed as a result of my workaholic lifestyle. And my third issue at the time was a scarcity mindset, because both of my parents grew up in the Great Depression, and what we have known is that wounds that our ancestors experience have a genetic imprint that carries forward into future generations. And so it's our job to heal 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. But I thought, no, I don't think those issues are the same for me anymore, and I feel like I needed to work on something different. So, where did I go? Okay, so what I did this week is I did the first healing on myself. And it's funny, the journey has been different than the way I had planned it, which is actually Spirit reminding me to stop planning so hard and to stop trying to be in control. And I thought it was going to be very tidy. I thought I was going to have 1 life issue week 1, and another life issue on week 2, and another life issue on week 3. But it seems like there's a lot of overlap, and there's a lot of, perhaps even a little messiness. So what I did is I did a healing on myself this week, and normally, well, I shouldn't say normally, the way I was taught is that when we do an illumination on ourselves, a shamanic illumination, we're supposed to focus on only 1 chakra, and we're supposed to only focus on whatever is the lowest chakra that is affected, because oftentimes when we work on that lowest chakra, it works sort of like plumbing. It just sort of flushes everything out. But I've also met other shamans who are like, oh no, every time I go in, I work all 7 chakras and I clear them all. And so I just want to also remind myself and everyone else that There are many, many ways to engage with this work. There are many. Oh, I see. I apologize if the video is getting glitchy. I'll try not to move around too much. Hopefully you can still hear me well. So, in fact, I'm going to start recording this so that in case anything happens to the broadcast, I'll have another one on my computer. So, let me go back. Okay, so I did the healing on myself, and I sort of just set the intention to kind of see, what is this journey going to open for me? What is the healing I need to focus on in the South? And when I checked to see which medicine stone wanted to work, all three of them from the South wanted to work. And I thought, oh, interesting, okay. And then when I checked my chakras to see which ones were out of alignment and needed support, it was the three middle chakras. And I just got the sense that I needed to work all three of them. So here's what came through for me. So I have a stone that's a red jasper. It's actually sitting right over there. And the question that came through is, how can I feel empowered without feeling pain? And even when I say that out loud, it sounds ridiculous. There is absolutely no reason why empowerment has to come along with pain. But there's a belief system that I was raised with that somehow only hard work is worthy of financial rewards. That if we don't work hard, that we're not worthy of being compensated. And I thought, you know what? The work that I do is not heavy. The work that I do feels light. The work that I do is not laborious. The work that I do is joyful. And so I decided that I needed a new affirmation. And my new affirmation is, my labor is effortless, and it rewards me abundantly. So I'm going to go ahead and wish that for you as well. May your labor always be effortless, and may it always be rewarded abundantly. And it was interesting to me that a few nights before these, I'm going to go to the other two stones in a second, but a few nights before this healing session, I had a dream. And in that dream, there were two things that happened. One of them was I literally saw my butterfly wings growing. And it was beautiful and weird and mysterious, as dreams often are, which is why I love them so much. And it was interesting because the top part of the wings were the standard, sort of archetypal monarch butterfly wings, the sort of orange and black design. And then at the lower part of the wings, they were this sort of kind of deep plum, purple, iridescent kind of color. But in the middle section, there was just sort of this sort of dark gray, blackish kind of area that felt really undeveloped. And so I thought it was very curious that when I did the healing for myself, it was the middle three chakras that actually needed support. And so the solar plexus, which is about self-empowerment and holding ourselves in our power, and the heart chakra, which is all about love and compassion and forgiveness as well. And grief, if we're feeling grief, it's going to affect us in the heart chakra. And the throat chakra, which is all about our communication and our ability to use our voice for our own highest purpose. So I thought it was curious that the dream sort of paralleled what I was actually experiencing in my healing session. And then I did a live on this on Instagram the other day. The other part of the dream was that I could actually see, it was like I was bleeding in weird lines on my arm, and then the bleeding was like instantly turning into a scar, and then as soon as that line was finished bleeding and scarring, then another one appeared. And then I realized they looked very much like the butterfly patterns on their wings. And I had this realization that when we turn our pain into beauty, that is how we gain our butterfly wings. So the second stone, I'm going to move that so it doesn't make noise for us. The second stone was my ruby, and it wanted to hang out at the heart chakra. And there was a question that came up about how can I treat my heart-centered business as a joyful labor and not let it become a chore? And I think any of you who run your own business know that there are aspects of it that are beautiful and lovely and wonderful, and they give us joy and they renew us. And then there are aspects that are tedious and laborious. And it's funny how it isn't really three different life issues. They're sort of overlapping life issues. So my affirmation was that my heart shows me where my work is needed. Because sometimes we create work for ourselves that is just not necessary. So that is my new affirmation for the heart chakra. Then it came to the rose quartz, and the rose quartz wanted to work in the throat chakra. And the question that came through was, how can I always speak from a place of love? And that goes back to the 4 wisdom teachings of the South, which I'm going to get into next week in episode number 2. But one of those is non-judgment. One of those, when we walk the medicine path, we have to embrace a posture of non-judgment. And that can be really, really challenging when we see things in the world that we find to be unjust and we want to scream about them or do something about them or rail about them. And to learn how to trust that when we cultivate the light within ourselves and when we engage in our own families and communities from a place of love and compassion, there are echoes, there are reverberations that move outward. And the more we do that, starting from our own center and shining our light outward, the more we actually have a palpable, tangible effect on the world around us. And so it sounds rather contradictory that if the world is wrong, why don't we start with the world? We always have to start with ourselves. We always have to heal ourselves first before we can start helping others. We don't have to be like 100%, Christ-like consciousness all the time. We just have to be always working towards that. We have to be always working towards that and being able to stop and recognize when we are out of alignment and when we begin to engage in judgmental behaviors. And for me, it's gotten to the point where I've pretty much eradicated any speech, for the most part, that's judgmental, but I still occasionally have judgmental thoughts. And so I'm looking at making sure that that connection from the heart and the voice are clean and pure, and that if I suddenly have a judgmental thought, I silence it, and I'm working towards not even having those judgmental thoughts. Just looking at everyone around me as, there's someone I met recently at a retreat, and she said, everyone is just God in drag. Everyone we meet is just one aspect of the face of God in drag. And that also aligns with our training at the Four Winds, where when someone comes to us, our job is to look at them and see the golden Buddha underneath whatever is troubling them, whatever is blocking them, whatever energy is preventing them from stepping into that. So it's good to practice that every day, because if we don't practice that every day, it makes it difficult to see when people come to us. So I'll get more into the 4 wisdom teachings next week on episode 2, but I just wanted you to see and notice how these things come through. So my affirmation for that is, I commit to a life where my voice is only used as an instrument of love. So that brings us to, let me just see. I think next week I'm going to get into how to track, because I did, actually no, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to track. So when we do what we call tracking, we are tapping into messages from our spirit guides, from the universe, from God, from whatever you want to call it, from our angels, from our holy helpers. We're tuning into that frequency and we receive messages. And what we do is we do a tracking at 4 different levels: the physical level, the emotional level, the level that we call the mythic map, so that has to do with like your life purpose and where you are on that journey, and then the spiritual energetic level. And so spirit communicates with me in symbols, and sometimes I don't really know what those symbols mean until after I've had time to sit with them for a little while. And so I'm going to wait to tell you about what came through for my tracking this week, because I still am like, what? I'm not really sure what that means. And so I'm going to need to sit with those symbols for a little bit longer, for a few more days, and work with my sand painting, which again, I'll go into that next week. So yeah, there were some strange messages that came through that I still have to decode, and so I'll talk more about that next week. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you the song that came through. And, like I said, it was sort of funny. I thought there was going to be one song per life issue, and week 1 was going to be life issue number 1, and week 2 would be life issue number 2. And, the world is not usually that tidy, and this work is not usually that tidy. There's usually overlap. There's usually, kind of intermingling connections, interwoven connections, interrelated wounds that need to be sort of healed in phases and in layers. So this song I think really is about the original quest that I started out with. So if you've been watching me, you know that my quest started out as a very kind of simple, kind of silly, almost joking, how do I not let my daily practice get boring? Because that's something that I noticed. When I first walked this path, I was so diligent. Every day I was meditating, sometimes multiple times a day. I was doing my breath of fire every single day. I was just all in, all in. And really, the results were completely transformative. I completely changed my life. I dropped 150 pounds. I was half of the physical person that I was. And there are just so many things that opened up for me. Well, if we don't have a way of keeping our practice fresh, it can get stale. And so this quest became, how can I keep my practice fresh, really? How can I allow my practice to not get boring? And I think that this song really, rather than relating to any one of those life issues, this song really is about the daily practice. And I'm calling the song My Monkey Mind. And, again, I just wrote it this week, so this is a very, very rough version of it. But I hope that you enjoy it. Okay, we're going to mute that guy. And I'm going to hold my lyrics. Sometimes I feel like they're all falling into place. How do I know if I'm just grinding away at the rat race? Sometimes I feel like it's all falling apart. Why do I scrap everything and just go right back to the start? My monkey mind is grinding again. It's been this way since I don't know when dog eats dog and there's chaos all around, I tell myself one more time, slow down. Is it butterflies in my stomach, or is it fear in my heart? In all all this death and destruction? How do I play my part? If I lean just a little further, will I fall over the edge? Tell me what I need to promise myself, and I will take the pledge. My monkey mind is grinding again. It's been this way since I don't know when. When dog eats dog and there's chaos all around, I tell myself one more time, slow down. Is this a failure of logic or a gap in communication? Who gave me this raw deal? And is it up for renegotiation? What keeps me feeling divided and lost out in open sea? All I want to do in life is feel free to be me. My monkey mind is grinding again. It's been this way since I don't know when. When dog eats dog and there's chaos all around, I tell myself one more time, slow down. Interesting and curious that I forgot to add the last loop of rhythm, so it wasn't necessarily supposed to end a cappella, but it did. So thank you so much for joining me on this first episode. So if you like this content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you really found that you're getting some benefit or some value, go take a look at, where is it? Oh, no, there it is. I have a virtual tip jar on the shop on my website. So it's laurelannporter.com/product/virtual-tip-jar. And I think you need another backslash or maybe an HTM. And what it is, it's in $5 increments. So you can donate $5, $25, $50, $100, $500, whatever you feel you are receiving in value from this. Donate with love from the heart, or not at all. There's nothing expected. I just want folks to follow this work and to understand what the possibilities are. And speaking of possibilities, if you would like to learn how to be a shamanic artist yourself, if you would like to consider thinking about joining my Butterfly Bootcamp, I encourage you to please, please, please book a call with me. The call is totally free, no obligation, just to see if you might have shamanic artistry within you and if you would like to join the program next month. So that is all. Signing off for now. May your spirit guides always be with you. I'm going to just close sacred space very briefly so that we can all be sent on our merry way. To the winds of the south, Sachamama, Great Serpent, thank you so much for your presence in this medicine space today, for reminding us to shed our past the way you shed your skin all at once. Thank you for teaching us to walk the beauty way, seeing beauty everywhere we go, beauty in front of us, beauty behind us, beauty below us, beauty above us, beauty on either side of us, beauty within us, and beauty without us. Aho. To the winds of the west, Otorongo, Mother, Sister, Jaguar, thank you so much for your protection in this medicine space today. Thank you for teaching us to walk the way of the peaceful warrior with no enemies in this life or the next. Thank you for teaching us the way beyond death across the Rainbow Bridge and back. Aho. To the winds of the north, Siwarkente, royal hummingbird, thank you so much for your presence in this medicine space today. Thank you for teaching us to find stillness even in motion. Thank you for teaching us to drink only from the nectar of life, for finding our mythic map. And to the ancestors, thank you so much for your wisdom and your presence. May we always honor you with our words and actions. Aho. To the winds of the east, great eagle, condor, urupu, raven, all those who come from the land of the rising sun, the place of our becoming. Thank you so much for your presence in this medicine space today, for teaching us to fly wing to wing and helping us to feel that connection to source. Aho. Mother Earth, Pachamama, thank you so much for your loving embrace. Thank you for teaching us to be in Aini with all creation. May we always be model for that right relationship so that all future generations may have abundant, joyful lives. Aho. Father Sun and Grandmother Moon and all of our Star Nation brothers and sisters, you who are known by 1,000 names and you who are unnameable, thank you so much for watching over us and for illuminating our pathways so that we may walk our highest destiny with clarity and purpose. Aho.